What are your views on the evolution of radio now that it has the opportunity to have a platform online?
Oh, I mean, that should be making radio because it is such a phenomenal opportunity as everybody and everything is going digital. Uh, it, the key again is measurement because Alan Wurtzel was the great proponent. If I can't measure it, I can't sell it. So it's got to be measured meaningfully at a comparable quality to PPM or what have you, to be able to monetize it. And if it can be monetized, then I think it's going to explode. And I mean, it's already changing the radio landscape. I mean, people that move from San Diego to New York can already listen to their favorite station in San Diego. I, in fact, listen to Classic FM London, England. And here I am in New York, and I'm happily listening to my London radio station and just love it. I mean, I actually stream it while I work, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So, I mean, I really think radio still has a wonderful, wonderful future. We've got to get through this economy, and we've got to get our heads around the whole PPM thing, which absolutely, in my opinion, is the salvation to radio, not only from a sales perspective and monetizing it, but from a programming perspective. Having worked at CBS Radio, the richness that minute by minute data can provide the programming people is phenomenal. Because if I understand the ebb and flow of my audience, I can program better. If I understand the ebb and the flow of my audience when the commercials are all on, I can arrange my commercials better. So I'm not saying it's the be-all and end-all, because we're always going to have diaries in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, because they probably can't afford PPM. But if we're going to move to an integrated approach, couldn't we do diaries in Oshkosh with at least a seeding of PPM and then calibrate the diaries back to PPM, which I believe are going to become the currency? Let's see. I think that's a possibility.
And of course, with the addition of the potential of online measurement, we could probably get a richer base of radio behavior.
Absolutely. And again, isn't it interesting, because I'm sort of talking about the new way of measuring media, an integrated approach using multiple data streams, using some very sophisticated modeling. And what has ComScore embraced? It's now basically embraced what I call an integrated approach, what they call a hybrid approach. They're using panel plus the server data with some very, very complex, very tricky editing rules, putting them together to produce data. And certainly, could be a huge boon for radio.
The potential, I think, for radio and magazines are wide open right now, because they're changing platforms, and all of a sudden they can add video and they can add all sorts of other elements that they couldn't on their old platform. And you were talking about the measurement of these things and the opportunity.
Well, there's not only a measurement opportunity with ComScore and or net ratings in terms of the evolution and the addition of new platforms to expose their programming content or their editorial content to their audience. But also, there is a huge opportunity for both radio, which is really there with PPM, and magazines to move from an opportunity to see level measurement to really an exposure level measurement. And that's something that really quite actually has disappointed me. I would have thought by at my time and after being so many years in the industry, all media would now be measured at the ad exposure level, what TAB is calling eyes on. We are seeing, and where are we with other media? We're still essentially at the OTS level, because even with C3, we don't know if they're in the room because it's a tuning meter. That is not advertising exposure. It's maybe a better opportunity to see, but it's not ad exposure. Very interesting on the magazine front. We've got MRI, and actually I think Infinity's doing the same thing, recognizing that the importance of that to advertisers, agencies, and brand and marketing managers. And they are actually finally moving ahead, I think, with some very serious work in looking at how we look at magazine audience data in terms of ad exposure rather than OTS. So again, I see that as, again, opportunity for magazines, and with PPM, we're close, I think, to eyes in front, or ears in front of the radio. So I think they're close to an ad exposure, and that's where I think all media has to be very soon, sooner than later.
An exciting time for research.
Oh, again, yeah, get out of this economy. It's a great time to be in research, and there should be a lot of jobs.